Today is Thursday, May 5th. We're talking about the Fed's latest move to tackle inflation and how it may impact everyday Americans. And the biggest impact already from what's expected to be a wildfire season. Also, who is giving which university more than $1 billion and why? And which big-name star was attacked on stage? Plus, a new FDA warning about a marijuana strain that's legal-ish nationwide. How your morning coffee may soon come with crypto tokens on the side. And why we are celebrating this Cinco de Mayo. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. The Federal Reserve just raised rates and did it in a bigger way than usual. The Fed approved its steepest interest rate increase in more than 2 decades. So the target for short-term interest rates is going up by 0.5 percentage point to about 1%. It was expected, but it's still rare. Usually, the Fed lifts rates in 0.25 percentage point increments. The idea is to slow the economy as a way to deal with the highest inflation in 4 decades. And the Fed is not stopping there. The central bank thinks there will be about 6 more hikes like this before this year is out. So by the end of 2022, the interest rate target will reach around 2.8%. What does this mean for everyday Americans? Well, credit card rates will likely rise, so will home mortgages, the cost of an auto loan, and more. But it still might be a while before prices for everyday goods and services come down. The Fed told Americans to be patient while officials work to bring inflation under control. Still, it seems investors took all the news in stride. Stocks rallied. In fact, the Dow and S&P 500 both had their best day in 2 years, and the Nasdaq was also up. Reports say that's because the Fed ruled out lifting rates too fast. It will increase them by 0.5 percentage point at a time, but some had speculated it would be even higher. And the Treasury Secretary said the U.S. economy does remain strong. The European Union has laid out its proposal to ban all Russian oil by the end of this year. And that's big since the EU is hugely reliant on Russian energy. The EU gets about 1/4 of its oil from Russia, and most of that goes toward gas and diesel for vehicles. Analysts say cutting that off is likely to send fuel prices soaring even more than they already are. But the European Commission president said it's worth it since Russia gets a lot of its money from its energy business, and a lot of it is reportedly funding the war in Ukraine. The oil ban would be part of the EU's 6th package of sanctions over the war. This round would also target Russia's biggest bank, major broadcasters, and more. But to actually take effect, all of these proposals need to be unanimously approved by all 27 countries in the European Union. So it's being debated now. And EU officials are pushing for a final decision this week. No matter what happens, countries are already looking for alternative fuel sources. It's starting to look more like this is going to be an extremely active wildfire season in the western U.S. As of this week, wildfires have already burned more than 1 million acres of land. That's more than twice the number by the same time last year. And forecasters at AccuWeather expect the trend to continue for the whole western half of the country from Texas to Oregon. As of this morning, the worst fires are burning in New Mexico. There are 7 large wildfires in that state that have torched more than 350 square miles so far. That's an even larger area than all of Dallas, Texas. Thousands of people have evacuated, and hundreds of homes have already burned. New Mexico's governor says her state is sending as many resources to the fires as possible. And just last night, President Biden approved a disaster declaration that lets federal aid be made available for recovery efforts right away. Well, this week, the White House hosted one of the largest, if not the largest, gathering of Team USA athletes. Olympians and Paralympians were there to celebrate their successes at the 2020 Summer Games in Tokyo and the 2022 Winter Games in Beijing. Both of those Olympic events were disrupted in some way by the pandemic, which meant their White House trips were also postponed. But they were celebrated eventually. More than 600 American athletes showed up yesterday with more than 260 medals. President Biden praised them all for enduring so much. He told them, quote, "You represent the very soul of America," and went on to say, quote, "We're in awe, not just to your incredible athleticism, but your endurance and your state of mind, but most of all, your character." All right, more news is coming up, but first, let's take a quick break to thank our sponsor. As you know, researching is a big part of my job. So now, as a parent, I find myself researching, maybe a little too much, about everything I give my baby. So let me save you some time and energy and share a little bit about the diapers I've been using for my baby. Pampers Cruisers 360 Fit is Pampers' best fit and protection for an active baby. So I appreciate avoiding a wrestling match at every diaper change because Cruisers 360 Fit is quick and easy to pull on and quick and easy to take off with these easy tear sides. Also, it has a 360 gap-free fit, so it's super soft and stretches really nicely around my baby's waist. Plus, these diapers lock wetness away from skin for up to 12 hours, which helps to keep my baby's skin healthy, even while we all sleep through the night, at least most nights. And this next part is really important to me as well. Pampers Cruisers 360 Fit is hypoallergenic, so it's free of elemental chlorine bleaching, parabens, and latex. You can buy in-store, look for the Pampers Cruisers 360 Fit, and download the Pampers Club app today to start earning rewards with every diapers and wipes purchase. It's the largest gift ever given to a university to establish a new school, and it's the second largest gift ever given to any academic institution, period. Stanford University is about to get a brand new school focused solely on climate change, and it's thanks to a big investment from one of the most successful venture capitalists in the history of Silicon Valley. John Doerr and his wife are giving Stanford $1.1 billion. With that, the Stanford Doerr School of Sustainability will open this fall. There, people will be able to take classes about planetary science, energy technology, and food and water security, among other things. And it'll house a center focused on developing practical policy and technology solutions to the climate crisis. Doerr told the New York Times, quote, "This is what the young people want to work on with their lives for all the right reasons." So there was a scary moment at this week's Netflix is a Joke festival in LA. Comedian Dave Chappelle was attacked while he was on stage. An armed man came at him with a replica handgun with a knife inside. He tackled Chappelle to the ground before security and other people hauled the attacker away. Chappelle was not hurt, and he went on with his show afterwards, along with the help of fellow comedians like Jamie Foxx and Chris Rock, who made jokes about the whole thing. Now Chappelle is cooperating with the police investigation, and the suspect is being charged with assault, though it's not clear what motivated him. Officials are also trying to figure out how this all happened in the first place. The suspect was able to get past security searches and metal detectors, and he even got on stage at the Netflix festival without credentials. A spokesperson from Netflix released a statement to the LA Times saying, quote, "We strongly defend the right of stand-up comedians to perform on stage without fear of violence." The FDA is cracking down on what's called Delta-8 THC. It's a compound derived from cannabis. And even though it's not the main psychoactive ingredient in marijuana and it's not as potent, it can still give you a high. It's sort of a gray area legally, in part because it can be derived from a similar part of the plant as CBD, which is not psychoactive. Well, just like we see with CBD in products, some businesses have been openly selling products with Delta-8 THC online and in stores. And the FDA now says some companies are making claims about the compound as a treatment or a cure for certain medical conditions. So the FDA issued its first warning letters about it this week, and it's reminding people that those products and claims are all unapproved. It's the largest online tax preparer in the U.S., and now it'll be paying back millions of its customers. The company behind TurboTax, Intuit, has agreed to pay $141 million in restitution to 4.4 million customers. It's to settle claims by all 50 U.S. states and Washington, D.C. that its ads were deceptive. The lawsuit said customers who thought they were using a free version were actually charged when it came time to file their taxes since they didn't have so-called simple tax returns. And that the company even steered low-income Americans away from the federally supported free services they qualified for to use its paid products instead. As part of the agreement, Intuit is not saying it did anything wrong, but it will stop certain ads that promoted its software as free, free, free. The New York Attorney General says affected customers can expect to get checks in the mail, and they'll get about $30 for each year they were, as she calls it, deceived into paying for filing services. But this might not be the end of the issue. The federal government also filed a lawsuit with similar allegations in March, and that case is still underway. Do you have a go-to Starbucks order? Well, the coffee chain hopes you'll want to add an NFT with your lattes in the future. Starbucks says it plans to launch its own NFT collection. Customers will apparently be able to get a new, unique digital collectible of some sort that also doubles as an access pass to a Starbucks community online with various experiences and perks. There aren't many more details just yet, but it is expected to launch by the end of this year. The world's only living Nonuplets have just turned 1. Nonuplets means we're talking about 9 babies. These babies were born on May 4th last year and have the Guinness World Records title for the most children at a single birth to survive. They were born at 30 weeks and were each between 1 and 2 pounds. Well, now it seems they're thriving and reaching their milestones. Their father told BBC News they're all crawling, some are walking, and they're in perfect health. He admitted it's not easy, but that they're all happy. The family is from Mali. There are 5 girls and 4 boys. If you want to see a couple up-to-date pictures of these record-breaking babies, check out our Instagram post. We're at NewsworthyPod. That's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Thing to Know Thursday. But first, this podcast is sponsored by KiwiCo. Springtime is the perfect time for kids to make new discoveries, like how caterpillars turn into butterflies. KiwiCo is such a great way to help your kids have the type of hands-on experiences in STEAM topics that will spark curiosity and inspire creativity. From rainbows to rocket ships and everything in between, KiwiCo has a subscription line for kids of all ages, so you know their experts have picked out the perfect items and projects for your child's readiness. We got our first KiwiCo when my son Dax was just an infant, and I remember our pediatrician complimenting us on one of the toys I brought into the office from our KiwiCo crate because it was so well designed for his particular age and development. And now it's fun to see how the KiwiCo crates change alongside him. So step into spring and celebrate the season of discovery with a KiwiCo subscription. Get 30% off your first month plus free shipping on any crate line with the code newsworthy at kiwico.com. That's 30% off your first month at KIWICO, kiwico.com with the promo code newsworthy. Now back to Thing to Know Thursday. And today's Thing to Know on this May 5th is all about Cinco de Mayo. The holiday started in Mexico to celebrate the Mexican Army's big and unexpected victory over the French Empire during the Battle of Puebla in 1862. Just days later, Mexico's president declared May 5th a national holiday. And the earliest celebrations were about fighting for democracy and freedom. But now it's actually observed more here in the U.S. than it is in Mexico. It started to really pick up traction in the 1960s and 70s when Americans started embracing Mexican food and drinks and realized how much fun it is to celebrate. Now every year, communities throw parades and parties full of mariachi music, Mexican folk dancing, and traditional foods. And today, the president and first lady here in the U.S. will host a Cinco de Mayo reception at the White House with the first lady of Mexico. Again, it's not the biggest Mexican holiday of the year. That comes every September 16th on Mexican Independence Day. Still, today, there is also a good excuse to honor Mexican culture, pride, and values. All right, thank you so much for tuning in today. We'll be back with much more news to know tomorrow. Until then, have a great day.